So today I'm going to talk about the importance of having the right relationship with our physical body. And the physical body is an aspect of the feminine. And in order for us to ascend our consciousness in any moment, the male and the female must be married. So the mind must work with the emotions, the mind must revere and respect the body. So in general, it's a bit of an epidemic, especially with women, that the body is not respected. And I wanted to clarify in this video, a lot of spiritual teachings tell you to ignore the body consciousness, which probably I've even referred to it in that way in other videos, but I want to make a distinction between your physical body's consciousness and your astral body's consciousness, or your resistance. The astral body is made of many things: desires, emotions, beliefs, and it moves when we're in an energy of lack. The astral body goes and tries to get a feeling, right? So if we feel empty or alone, we might want to like binge on food. Some people go have, meaningless sex. Some people kind of check out and watch TV. And so that body is what they're really referring to when they say, oh, but don't trust your body's consciousness. You have to overcome the body's consciousness. You have to overcome the body. And I want to just in a very nuanced way break that down, because I think you could interpret that in a way that could be damaging to you. So you can trust your body. And I'm going to tell you two stories from my life where my body was distinctly trying to save my life, but my mind was ignoring my body, because that's what minds do, right? That's kind of the patriarchy in a lot of ways is internalized in us by our mind subduing our emotional body, rejecting our emotional body, the whole human experience of emotionality for that matter, and the body, because we think it's dirty and sinful, and religious conditioning, and there's so much there. But so when I had an eating disorder, my body, I wanted to stop the behavior, but my body would not stop desiring to binge. And of course, there was definitely an emotional element there before I had done deep emotional work. But I read something called the Minnesota Starvation Experiment, which taught me that if you have been in a restrictive mindset for any length of time, in the experiment, they mocked wartime and they restricted men's calories for a few months, I think, to 1,500 calories. And they went crazy. They became obsessed with food. They left that experiment with all kinds of neuroses and afflictions having to do with extreme restriction. And by the way, I remember being a teenager in Vogue magazine saying 1,500 calories, that's what you should be eating. But I later found out in another experience I had a metabolic scan. They told me that I required at least 1,500 calories to stay alive, even if I was on a breathing tube and in a coma. Okay? So put on top of that thinking, walking, being, working out, plus on top of that a Kundalini awakening where you're metabolizing so much emotional energy and channeling, you need a lot of calories. So my body was trying to save my life by binging. Actually, I thought I was binging, but I wasn't. To this day, I still eat about 3,000 calories, which is the way that you're supposed to heal this, is to restore your mind to factory settings where you just have normal hunger cues. You have to eat between 2,500 and 3,500 calories. It's like a magic number that restores your brain to sanity. And so my mind was fighting it and fighting it and fighting it, and no, but that's too much, and I'll gain weight, and that's not healthy. And no, it's been 9 years, and I still eat that much because apparently I need it. And so my body was trying to help me. My body was trying to help me. The body is our vehicle for housing our consciousness, taking us on this amazing journey of creativity and evolution and being. it's very much connected to divine intelligence. There's nothing that isn't connected. The difference between that and the emotional body is that, and the astral body is reflecting our karma of low self-worth, karma of addictions, and all of those things. So when we're overcoming the body, we're really overcoming the emotional body and the astral body. And yes, the physical body, I guess you could argue, and some scientists do argue, that the body gets addicted to the chemicals of those emotions. So then if you tell the universe, okay, I'm going to give up my addiction to chaos, and you decide that you want to be at peace. Some people say your body will crave the chaos, but it's really your emotional body. Because you know how you stop craving chaos? You replace whatever you were looking for to give you a feeling with God, which is I am whole, I am complete. I can feel just as amazing right now, simply connected to my true nature, as any temporary experience that my astral body would like to experience. So the other experience I had with my physical body trying to actually save my life was I was in a situation with a person who was very deceptive, and I wasn't aware of it. However, my body was aware of it. I wasn't aware of it consciously because I had blind selves and I had karma that was preventing me from seeing it. But my body always knew, because in that person's presence, I would feel nauseated and I would feel repulsed, like physically repulsed, in the same way as if, somebody put rotten fish in front of your nose, like you'd smell it and you'd be, oh, no. You would reject it, right? The body rejects it. So the body wants to survive. The body wants more life. You don't have to overcome your body. You have to trust your body. And on that note, during the cracking of the cosmic egg mystical experience that I had, which was the descent of grace and the Kundalini awakening in a very high voltage mystical experience, one of the things that my inner teacher taught me was basically the Zen teaching, like hungry, eat, tired, sleep. And I was walking outside by the ocean and my ankle was hurting. And my inner teacher said, well, why don't you try sitting down instead of pushing your body through that? And the simple act of just sitting down and resting, because I'm listening to the ankle saying, no more walking right now. The second that I sat down, what I saw metaphysically happens when you listen to your body is I felt a nuclear explosion, and I felt like I was on a magic carpet ride of nuclear energy. The pain disappeared, because as soon as you allow your mind to turn towards the body and revere it and respect it, it wants to heal. Because when the male and the female are together, it's nuclear energy. Okay? So you can trust your body. You can trust your body. It's really important that we revere the body, that we're kind to the body. If you have symptoms, if you are dealing with a physical condition, there's so many reasons why we could be dealing with a physical condition, which I am a medical intuitive, and I work with people to clear the subconscious of the causes of illness, and the causes of mental illness, and the causes of financial illness, and the causes of all kinds of imbalances. But, among the reasons that we could be sick, of course, there's so many payoffs for it. But a big one is that we betray ourselves and we don't listen to our truth. Staying with a person you know is not good for you. I can't tell you how many people got diagnosed with cancer after they married someone that they knew wasn't right for them. So it's not about regret or that you did anything wrong, but there's a lesson of like, okay, we usually do feel a truth and we choose to ignore it. And that choice costs us a lot, right? So if we're dealing with illness, we have to inquire, what are you wanting to show me? It's like with the ankle. what my inner teacher said was, all you have to do is sit down. And in my life, I have been knocked on my ass a few times because I don't like to sit still. I mean, I can meditate for hours, but it's more like I like to feel like I'm in control of my body and being active. And I've had to learn the hard way, and that's why I want to tell you, so you don't have to learn the hard way, that when you listen to the body, and now that I'm more aligned with that, more aligned with my cyclical nature as a woman, more aligned with intentional and conscious rest, not rest that's forced upon you because your body is like screaming and crapping out on you. So much occurs in a pause, just like with my ankle. I saw in an exaggerated way what happens when you pause. And I think I was shown these things as a reference point because when I'm stuck in the world in illusion and I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal. You know, if I'm hungry, I'll just push it another hour. I'll eat it an hour from now, right? Mind over matter. And it's important to know this thing about mind over matter. Like there's this, I guess it's a scientific fact where they realized, I guess from like the Marines, and they teach you that when you think you've got almost nothing left, like you've got like 90% left. And that's true. And even in the Essene Gospel of Peace, Jesus says, the Satan will die before your body dies, which I've unpacked that in other videos. Just sit with that. Our attitude, our fear, our belief in weakness will die before our body dies. Sure, there's a time and a place for that. But I'm just sharing with you this other side of like, I've just been shown this in a really intense way. If you just listen to the body wants to survive and thrive. And when we listen to it, there is a mystical marriage. And in a mystical marriage, there is nuclear energy. So we have to be sweet to our body. We have to honor rest. And what I was going to say is that like now, what I've realized again, now that I consciously rest, now that my mind doesn't force a routine on me, I realized like, oh my God, like I received so much insight and epiphany, and literally you dematerialize realities. Just like when I sat down and my ankle pain went away, the simple fact that I listened to what is and didn't resist it dematerialized the pain. Imagine what that means for you in your life. What if listening to your body could dematerialize a bad financial situation? Simply because you're at one with self. You're at one with nature. There's no inner conflict. There's no inner violence, right? So it's true that the resistance body, I'm just giving it another name. It's true that when you're on the brink of a breakthrough, you know, like maybe you booked an event or a spiritual retreat, or you decided to publish your book, right? The book that would be controversial. Maybe you channeled it. Maybe you channeled the extraterrestrials and your family will not approve. And right when you want to publish the book, your Lyme symptoms come up. That's resistance. The body is interpreting the resistance and it's bubbling up in the body, but that's energy that you're experiencing that is showing up in the body as a symptom. And when you book a retreat and your soul, you know that like there's something in it for you, and then all of a sudden you feel like you don't want to do it. A lot of people in the empowerment space call it like when you're about to up level and your nervous system tells you that you shouldn't do it. That's not your body telling you not to do it. Your body does not want to prevent you from making more money. It's your belief system that wants to prevent it, right? Because if I get wealthy, then everybody will use me. I won't know who to trust. I just want to make that distinction that it's not your body that doesn't want the money. It's your belief system. When people say you have to expand your nervous system, that just means you have to get familiar with what you want. So I hope this was helpful. The bottom line is that you cannot ascend without your body, without revering and respecting your body. Because the way that male and female energy works, if you neglect the feminine, if you neglect your body, it'll scream at you. How can you move forward? How could you progress in your consciousness if your body is always trying to get your attention? Of course, there's still progress happening. There's still progress. There's always progress happening, whether you know it or not. But for example, when I had the eating disorder and my mind was in that, my brain was in the restricted state, my brain was obsessed with food. For years, it was obsessed with food. The next meal, the next snack, the next 5 days of meals. And so why would we do that to ourselves? Why would we want our either physical body or emotional body? Same thing with the emotional body. We neglect the emotional body. It continuously tries to get our attention. Sometimes eventually through a symptom, or maybe through dragging you down, making you feel heavy so that you can pause. So that you can pause and just feel, and sometimes just shake it out. So I hope this was clear and helpful, and I hope you have a beautiful day.